Hey everyone, so this is episode 3 of Understanding Us. Today I'm here with Kelly. We've known each other for years. We worked together we both worked in Kurt Geiger. Kelly was the manager. And I think we worked together for like 2 years. I must have been like in...
You were in uni.
I was in uni, wasn't I?
Yeah,
I was in uni. And yeah, so I worked there part-time and Kelly was the manager. So we know each other from that. But what we're going to be talking about today is postnatal depression, because it's something that we both had, but we both like dealt with it in different ways. So we thought it would be like interesting to like give our sides of the story. So yeah, just tell me sort of like what happened with you then in terms of it.
So we found out we were pregnant, which was a bit of a shock, and because I was teaching, which was extremely stressful, I was in my teacher training year, that and the pregnancy and being away from home led to prenatal depression, so I used to see my doctor weekly, but I didn't take any medication because I was pregnant.
Sure.
The doctor monitored me weekly on a Friday, just to see how I was getting on, and she was so helpful. She was such a lovely doctor, you know, and you just like click with them.
Yeah, that's the best.
I think going to the doctor is the worst because you feel like you're just being so silly, like you know, what have I got to be depressed about?
I know, I hate that feeling, yeah, I know. So, with the prenatal depression, like, how much pregnant were you, like, when you had that?
So I'd say, I found out we were pregnant in end of September, and I'd say that it started maybe in the January, so quite early on.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was the pressure of the job, and I suppose like my other half was on a 12-year contract, so he might not have had a job at the end of the year. And we were like, how do we afford to live in London you know, with a child? So that was a major stress, and obviously my work, there was a lot of pressure from my work, and that it just all didn't help, and I think it just all got a bit much.
And did it last like until like Nancy was like? Did it literally last the whole pregnancy?
Yeah, it literally lasted the whole pregnancy. It got a little bit better. I moved home probably in the June, and Nancy was born the 9th of July. So that being with my mum kind of helped.
Yeah.
Like having that like family around you really helped. But it was really hard. Like I remember just sometimes I go to the doctor and I say I really want to self-harm, and I feel like I'm just pulling on a bobble.
Really?
To kind of, you know, and
satisfy yourself.
And I was like, I don't know why I'm doing it. She's like, well, you know, because you're a mum, you don't want to harm the baby. Maybe that's why you're not doing it, which was really interesting. Because I was like, okay. And then I think that kind of helped, that feeling of actually, you know, I'm not doing anything to harm my baby, so maybe I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. So what sort of like fears did you have? Like, was it more so like with the prenatal? Was it more like thoughts, or was it just a feeling of downness sort of thing?
I think my hormones was probably all over the place, and I think it was just the fear of like my life is going to change forever,
it's a massive thing, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, and my career was just going down the pan, which I like always wanted to be a teacher, so like that was just going down, and then I think that contributed to it massively as well, not knowing where I was going to be, because I was leaving my post and then having no job, which I worked from 16, so that fear,
it's a big thing.
I'm going to rely on my other half and be with no job secured. I think it was all of that. It was like, I suppose, losing my independence, really.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, massively. And how did it affect like things like relationships and like just your life in general? Like with me, like when I like feel depressed, like I don't want to see anyone, like, and I just want to stay inside, which is like the worst thing to do. But like, how were you with it? Were you similar, or?
I think because I worked so much, I was just working constantly.
Distracted, yeah.
But I was just eating, I just kept eating and eating. Like I went from like a size 8 when I was pregnant, like a size 18. Like just kept eating and eating. I think that was how I dealt with it. And then I tried doing yoga, which kind of helped. So I tried doing things that would help me. And I think I was just so busy with work that it was
Yeah. Some people do that, they throw themselves into things.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I had done that, because I think in a way you're distracting yourself. Like with me, like I just couldn't leave the house, but it's like it's just different people cope with it differently, don't they? So so what happened like after Nancy was born then?
So Nancy was born, and we moved back to Wales, and then we had to move back to Surrey when she was about 6 weeks old, because Matt was still working in Surrey. So we thought we'll stay there because he's got a permanent job, have security. And then I didn't know anyone, so I moved to a place, literally didn't know anyone. And I had the comfort of like living with like my mother-in-law, so she would help me out so much, like just you know, anything that we needed. But like I think at the start, what I found like started it. I think I had it just continued.
Yeah.
So I remember Nancy being 3 days old, and like my eczema was awful, so I was struggling to breastfeed, and I was crying. And then I remember just being like the worst mum in the world, and like Matt found me at like 2 a.m. when Nancy was sleeping, just trying to like pump out like as much milk as possible. And I was like, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think she just needs like, you know, so we decided to like bottle feed her, which, and then I've just felt like so awful. I was like, I can't, what's wrong with me? And then it got a bit better then when I kind of like, everyone was supporting me, saying it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter, as long as your mum's happy, you're, you know, baby's happy.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to Surrey, then it just, I didn't know anyone, and it was just like, oh, what do I do? You know, and I think just being on my own all day, from like Matt would leave work about 7 a.m, maybe get back about 6:30. I was on my own all day, and he had to, often on a Saturday, he'd have rugby training for his pupils, so then I was just so lonely, and I'd go to like these mums groups, and it was just
yeah, it's that feeling of like isolation, isn't it? Like I found that a lot as well, is because obviously like you're with your baby, and I think like somebody like messaged me on Instagram and was like, why are you depressed, you have your baby? But it's not that, it's like you're alone with all these thoughts in your head, you're feeling guilty. And I was saying with you, I breastfed for like, I think it was like exclusively for like maybe 6 weeks, and I was just so depressed, I just like, I couldn't do it, and I needed a break. And as you were saying, that like it's very important to look after yourself, like to be able to look after the baby. So I kind of did what you did, I just like switched the bottle, and it was the best thing I ever did, because I was able to have a break. But definitely, and I tried the mum's group as well, and I was like you, I was just sort of like sat there like, I don't really know what to say, and I just felt really awkward, and I felt like that everyone else was so happy, and I was like, why am I feeling this way? Like, I have a good support system, like why am I moaning? And I think the mum guilt is like really bad, isn't it? Like, do you still get it now?
Yeah, every day. I feel guilty now that I'm sat here, not back enough.
Yeah, and I think that's just a part of being a mum, isn't it? It's like feeling guilty. But I think women that have like postnatal depression, I think it goes like beyond that, doesn't it? To the point where you can't like function. So how long, like, are you better now, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm so much better now. Like, we moved home maybe like 2 years ago, and that just helped massively. But I think the main thing was like, everyone was like, didn't understand that like I had it, because, you know, it was more that I was so clingy. I didn't like anyone holding Nancy. Like, we still co-sleep now, so maybe
do you?
A bit. But like, you know, I had to be around her. I couldn't leave her in the room alone. You know, I always had to be with her, and I sit in the back, even just things like sitting in the back seat of the car, because I thought she was going to choke.
Yeah, I do that, I know, it's bad, isn't it? Because I think with postnatal depression, they say that you can kind of be to the point where you feel like you don't love your child, or you become like overbearing, and it seems like we have the same thing. It's like, when I was in the hospital, like people were coming over and like holding it, and I was really anxious about it. And like even now, to the point where like, so like if I'm like out, like, and I could say a stranger, like, oh, she's cute or whatever, like my mind can't just think, oh, it's just a lovely stranger saying hello. I'm thinking like she's going to steal her, and I get really over the top over it, and I can't break out of that train of thought. But I'm getting better. I think as time's going on, I'm learning to understand that like people love her as well, kind of thing. Because I think at the start I was like, only I love her, like nobody else loves her. But so you didn't take medication, did you? Because this is where we differed. So why did you decide not to?
Part of it was, I was so nervous that if I took in my head I thought that like my other half would, if we ever broke up and I took tablets, then he would use it against me.
Right, okay.
To take me to court. So I think in my head I probably should have really taken tablets, but in my head I thought that, you know, if it's official and it's kind of, or it was official, but if I was taking tablets for it, then if me and my papa ever broke up, then he would, you know, he'd use it against me. She can't cope because she was on tablets. Right. Which I think was probably my postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And another part of it was, I thought I wanted to go back into teaching, and I was nervous that if I took it and I had like a history of mental health, then perhaps I wouldn't get a teaching job.
Right, I see.
Which again, I think my mind just wasn't, there wasn't any clarity in my head. That everything was, it was just a fear. And then I found that I started going to the gym, which obviously just massively helped me, and just that hour just really seemed to just help me. And I think it was just a fear of the tablets, because I know taking the pill, I always felt like the pill just, I couldn't take it because it's really mental.
I know, I was the same actually with the tablets. It's like I was really reluctant to take them, because I don't really like putting things in my body, and I was kind of like, do I really want to take them? But with me, it got to the point where I was like, I think I was actually suicidal, that like my parents basically like, forced me.
Yeah.
I got treated like literally like a 10-year-old because I was so bad. And I think they did help, but I think what helped more is just like talking about it and counselling.
Yeah.
So I think they help take the edge off, but I don't think they're like the be all and end all. Like I think like lifestyle like changes, and like you were saying, like going to the gym and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have anyone to like confide in with all of this, or did you like keep it to yourself?
Like Matt was amazing. Like I remember like there were times when he'd like have to pin me down because I was gonna run off and jump off a bridge. It was so silly.
Yeah.
It sounds so silly, but it was so serious at the time. And then and he was such a great support because it was just us two really.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to like a few of like the mum friends that I'd made in Surrey, and they were so lovely. Like even things like they just invite me over the house to watch Christmas films, so I wasn't alone. So that started to help, having the support, but it was always a bit scary to talk about because I don't think people really understood it. And I don't, I think any mental health issue people don't really talk about. People think that you're exaggerating or you're just being dramatic. Like I hate when people say, oh, she's just being dramatic.
My midwife rang me and told me that, I don't know how your labour went, but because I had quite a traumatic labour, they think that is what triggered it. They told me I could come in and they'd like read over my notes with me. Did they say that to you?
No, I didn't say that. No.
Yeah.
But I suppose I changed doctors.
Oh yeah, of course you did, yeah.
So, probably, yeah. But I remember, because did you have to like the mood questionnaires with like the health visitor? Like where they come to your house and like you have to fill in like how you're feeling.
No, I didn't do that.
I remember having to do that, and I remember just lying because like saying I'm fine, I'm really happy or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what if I put like I'm not happy and then they take Nancy away from me? And it was like that was like my biggest fear, that you just wouldn't, they just like, well. And I remember like my other half being like, well no, because like you are, and I'm like, but what if they think I'm not?
Yeah, I think that's just, like you said, it's the postnatal depression, isn't it? And I think I was worried as well, because when my health visitor came over and she was like, is everything okay? And I lied. I was like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm doing great. I was like hanging. But I thought the same thing. I thought, how can I tell them that I'm having like suicidal thoughts? I was thinking they're going to take Willow off me. But actually, I did, the second health visitor that come to saw me, I did tell her. And it was pretty good, because the next day they sent over like a mental health nurse for me. So I did feel. And I said to the mental health nurse, I said, I'm really worried that like if I'm going to tell you things, you're going to like take Willow off me. And she just sort of laughed, and she was like, we're not here to do that, we're here to help you. And they basically give me a number of like an on-call psychologist, which can come out to you 24 hours. I was like, that's amazing. But I never rung the number, because I was still, in my head, I was like, no, they're like planning against me, and they're telling me this, because if I ring it, they're going to like, ring social services or something. But I think, did you try counselling?
No, I didn't, just because I suppose, well, there was no one to watch Nancy.
Yeah, because she was all the time,
and we didn't have any family around, and I think I just knew in my head, like, we'll be moving back soon, and it was just, I was like, I just need to get through the year. But in the end, I kind of moved back before Matt, like, Matt moved back home in July, and I kind of practically moved back and with my mother in like the May, which just massively helped me, because it was just having like someone there constantly
and help and everything
and just having someone to talk to,
sometimes you just need that like adult conversation, don't you? Because it is like, I sometimes feel really guilty, because if I've been with Willow all day and like Joe comes home, I kind of just want to like go like that when he comes to the door, and I feel bad, because I'm like I tried to have a baby with my ex-partner for like maybe like 3 years, and it just never happened. So I think I always had like this idea in my head that I was never going to have a baby. So when it happened like instantly, all through my pregnancy, I thought it was too good to be true. So I was convinced, I don't know if you were the same, but I was convinced that I was going to miscarry. I was convinced that like the 20-week scans, they were going to tell me there was something wrong. And just all the way through it, I just kind of didn't believe that I was actually going to bring her home, sort of thing. And then like afterwards, it was like, I was convinced that like she was ill. So like I think it was like the first 17 days of her life, like I took her to A&E so many times. Like I remember the one time I took her in because I was convinced there was something wrong with her, and like I made the doctor do like heart scans, like chest x-rays, because I was utterly convinced. And like I think they did it just to like reassure me. And I think actually I'm really grateful for that, because they could have just said to me, no, go home, there's nothing wrong with her. But I think they could see like how bad I was. But to me it was just like, this can't be real. Like it's just, it's because it's mad, isn't it? You grow like this little human in your stomach, and it's just like I couldn't believe that it was like actually going to happen. One little thought can just spiral, can't it, into like a massive thing. Do you find that with like your thoughts, or can you rationalise the sensible ones from the non-sensible ones? Does that make sense?
I think now I can. I suppose now Nancy's 3, but yeah, probably first 12 months I'll let them know.
You just think all sorts of craziness, don't you?
Yeah.
It's hard to know what is like real and what's not, and like that's really difficult.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, I just always thought like me and Matt aren't gonna last. We're just gonna break up. Not because of our relationship. I think it was just that like fear and just that like postnatal. But I don't know. Do you ever think like maybe if it's like Nancy was a surprise, so I don't know whether like that kind of contributed to it. Like I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, I think that is because I think. Even though I wanted a baby because I had tried, when I met Joe, like we were together, well, we weren't even together, we were like seeing each other, and like I didn't even know if we were going to go anywhere, and then I literally just found out I was pregnant, and I was like, well, this guy like doesn't really know, I didn't know if he was going to just turn around and say, I want nothing to do with you. So for me, I had like massive like nerves because everything was so uncertain. I was thinking I'm going to be a single mum, like I'm not ready for this, but I was like really lucky that like he was on board straight away, and it's been great ever since. But yeah, I think the surprise factor is just like, you're just like, oh my god, like I'm going to be a mum, and it's like you've got to think of all these, it's a massive, it's the biggest thing you can go through, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I always, like everyone's like, says to me now, especially like, you know, so you're having another one, and I'm like, well, I'm so scared to, like, what if I get ill again, then that's going to affect Nancy, because
I was going to say that,
I don't want her to see me unwell, you know. And I think that is, you know, people don't see that. It's not, you know.
No.
You live with it forever, really, because you just have that fear that it's going to come back. And
that's what's stopping me, because I was going to ask you if you worried it was going to come back. I think because that's why I almost want another one like soon. Yeah. Because I think the more I like don't have another one, I'm going to convince myself more and more that it's going to happen. And I've sort of come to like the realisation that it probably is going to happen again.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm prone to it anyway, and I think it's just the way my mind works. But I keep telling myself, well, I got over it once, and like, you can do it again. Yeah. But it is worrying, isn't it? Especially like you said with Nancy, like you're worried that like you don't want her to see you ill and things like that, and then it's the whole like looking after a baby, being depressed, and but it hasn't completely put you off. You would consider it. Yeah,
I think I'm not yet. Not yet. I think I still need like that time just to kind of enjoy it and prepare myself. Like I really like look forward to the excitement of like trying and then like, you know, doing the pregnancy test and that whole thing, not the like looking at like crap, I'm pregnant.
What advice would you give to somebody that like is dealing with it now?
I think the best thing to do is like just not be scared to like go and talk to your health visitor or your doctor.
Yeah.
And, you know, be honest with them, because like they're not, you know, they are there to support you. And I think that mental health is changing the whole perception of it in like, you know, the workplace, and, you know, there's so much positivity around it, you know, with the awareness months. I think people
are getting it.
And, you know, they are going to help you. And I think it would just be to like find like something that is just for you, you know, whether it's like yoga or, you know, the gym, or just even just like getting a haircut or something like really silly, just for you to have that time, or a long bath with like a lush bubble bath.
I miss those.
Sorry.
Okay, so that is the end of our video today. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'm going to tag Kelly in this video, so that if you want to like message her and like chat about postnatal depression, she's happy to help. And yeah, we will see you again next week for episode 4. Bye!